Enter.
Well, I just wanted to wish you all a very warm welcome to this event, which is the first in a series of the SOAS concert series. I'm talking to you from SOAS University of London, which is based in Bloomsbury. And we are very excited to have these panelists here, and it wouldn't be possible if we hadn't been doing this collaboration with Marsm. Marsm is an organisation, again, based in London, that's very dear to my heart, not just because of the work that they do, which is very special, also because I work for them as well, full disclosure. But in normal times, Marsm is an organisation that puts on concerts, events, talks like this one, club nights, and does things all about getting people together and also promoting music from the Arab world. In this era of COVID, they energetically moved their remit online, and they've set up all kinds of articles, podcasts, and a film screening series, as well as playlists and newsletters to get the word and continue to promote and talk about and discuss the work of musicians from the Arab world. So one of the film screenings that they've been putting out, and it's still there for another week or so, is an incredible film called Slingshot Hip Hop. And it's still there, it's live for free streaming for the next week or so. And it traces some of the stories of the development of hip hop in Palestine. And it's a wonderful story. So I do recommend that you watch it. And this event is in conjunction with the screening of this film, because we wanted to speak to these two main protagonists of the film. And I will hand you over to Christine, because she will introduce these two panelists.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you from Marsm for being here, for this lovely collaboration, and thank you, Mahmood and Tamer, who don't need introductions, but I will just very briefly introduce you. Sort of, yes, thank you, Georgie, for presenting the film, which I was going to say as well, that if you haven't seen it yet, please do see it. It was released in 2008, and it was a film that was recorded over several years by Jackie Reem Saloom. Yeah, it documents the scene, the hip hop scene when it started. And with us today are Mahmood Jrere, one of the founding members of DAM, and he's also an independent artist, a musician, and music entrepreneur. Who's one of the founders of the Palestine Music Expo. Besides releasing his debut album in 2016, Rhythm of the Tribe, he has also released recently around 4 singles that are really cool and you should check out. And hi, Mahmood.
Hi, marhaba.
Hello. And Tamer Nafar, hi Tamer, founding member of DAM, and obviously screenwriter, social activist, independent artist, and you have been releasing a lot of work recently. So thank you again for being with us. I wanted to start with the first, yes, Georgie?
Before we start that, I also wanted to flag up to the members of the audience, please put your questions into the Q&A as you think of them. We'll have half an hour at the end where we'll answer your questions. To begin with, it will be a conversation just between Christina and the two panelists. But if you would, keep your thoughts coming to us, we'd love to hear what you want to know.
Yes, thanks, Georgie. Cool. So I would like you, if you could please take us back to that initial moment where you were listening to music, where you found inspiration from Black American music. And when was that moment where you decided, okay, we're going to grab the mic and record? Was it the recording first or the performance? How did it all start? Maybe
me,
Tamer?
I met hip hop before Mahmood.
Mm-hmm.
So we both have different stories, I guess. I mean, it was around. Back then. The most popular music was Michael Jackson, and he had that single Jam, where he had Heavy D, like Jam, Jam, here come the man, goddamn, and he had Crisscross there. I didn't know names. I didn't know the name of the style. I just, it just was fascinating to see people so charismatic and talking fast. So I recognized. I never thought that it have a name. For me, it was that part with Michael Jackson, but then it became bigger. With the Fresh Prince, it became more on TV, and I remember all kind of singles that managed to find their way even to the mainstream, like Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio, or maybe that part of MC Shan with Informer, Snow. But it literally for me was, and then LL Cool J with Mama I'm Gonna Knock You Out. But it literally for me meant, oh, it's called hip hop, and I wanna understand it. I guess it was when I heard Tupac. When I heard Pac, it's like there's something different there, and I need to talk to this thing. So I used to go to this to the we had a library in Ramle, a place that all of us they went to study there. I never went there, but I went there only to print the lyrics because it was the only place that had internet.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to print the lyrics of Tupac,
Mm-hmm.
go and find as much as I can, because a lot of it is slangs,
Yeah.
And that's the evolution of what I started listening to hip hop. And then around 98, I think I started to try and do it on my own, but I didn't. There was no producers, there were no one, so I had to start something, and I did that. I recorded. I named myself at the beginning The Untouchable, because Lid is the biggest crime city in the Middle East, and I wanted to be like Elliot Ness, that movie The Untouchables. So I called myself The Untouchable at the beginning. I even remember I even spelled it wrong on the single. You can see there is no A in the middle. I even spelled
I think it's in the film as well.
Yeah. So. And then I did this release party of just letting people know, hey, I'm a rapper.
Okay. Sorry, how did you? Okay, so release party. Sorry, Mahmoud, we will come back to you.
Yeah, sure.
Shortly.
Take your time.
Release party. How did? I mean, like back then, was there a concept of release party in what 99, 2000?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my own release party. I took my friends. We don't have a big house. My friends' parents owns one of the most famous bakeries, and so they have this big. They used to throw weddings there, so it was literally an Arab release party, where
it was like a riot fat. I remember this.
Yeah,
it was like with the plastic chairs and shishas.
It was plastic chairs, shisha, knafe. It wasn't a release party. It was like a birthday. It was just, and I invited really 50 people, because all I had was 50. I had money to print 50 CDs, so I didn't invite more than 50 people. And I invited one of my best friends, and she's like, my brother listens to hip hop, and do you mind if I bring him? I was like, no, sure, bring him. I had a thing for her. She's my wife now. I was like, yeah, your brother, your mother, bring whoever you want. So she brought Mahmood, and this is where I met Mahmood.
So that was the new kid on the block.
Yeah.
Cool. And so there we come to Mahmood. Mahmood, then what happened?
Yeah, I was like 5 minutes away from Tamer neighborhood. And for me, hip hop, it was my introduction to hip hop was through MTV, actually, through video clips that was released by African American artists. And I was related to I really loved the type of music, this kind of music where people are speaking fast. It was very energized. It had a lot of passion in it, a lot of power. And I just got hooked also from the images, because it was also very similar to the image that I was seeing in my neighborhood, where we live in a project. It's under poverty. There is crime. There is Arab shootings on Arab. There is police chasing us, and it was the same thing that I was seeing in the videos. And this is the only music that I was listening to. Back then, I didn't understand every word, but I understood the pain. I understood the struggle. I remember my first albums. It was for Nas, Illmatic. Then I got into Tupac in All Eyes on Me album. And then I got to Stop Selling Drugs. That was the first album of Tamer in English. And it's a small city, Leeds. So it was like, I thought I'm the only one who loved hip hop in that city. But then there is a guy who already did an album. So I wanted to get in touch with him. And I remember back then that I was writing lyrics back then, but I didn't want to sing them. And I gave them to my friend. My friend gave them to Tamer, and Tamer then told him he have to sing it. I can't sing it. Like the MC need to sing his own lyrics. And then we got connected, and my sister invited me to his release party for the album Stop Selling Drugs. And this is where everything, I think I was 16 back then. This is where everything started. And then I started to go to their place. There was Suhail as well, in a small room, and we were rapping, we were freestyling, and we were creating. We didn't know yet that we are establishing them or co-founding them. But yeah, that's the story of it.
Yeah, because I was wondering, was it a conscious decision that, okay, now we're ready for a band and we're going to promote it? Because I'm thinking now, at least there's this thinking of, yes, we have a band. And I'm taking us 20 years ago, where even internet wasn't such a thing. I mean, even in the film, we see computers. You would probably connect through a modem. SoundCloud and streaming platforms were not present, and we will come to that later on. But when you decided that, okay, or when you became aware that you have something, how did you go about making people around you know that there's this band who can perform?
It was organically, because it was at the beginning a solo act. It was, if I'm not wrong, I remember it was around Tamer's show back then. I was the most ready one. I was already doing shows here and then, and I remember Mahmoud, tell me if I'm wrong, Suhail was the hype man in the show, in my shows, right?
Yeah, and we were performing in each other's birthdays. That's what I remember.
Okay, birthday parties, that's where it started.
Yeah.
But do you remember that? I remember that specific show in Haggadah Ma'aravit. Do you remember that place? That's
yeah.
Haggadah Ma'aravit. It's this
Communist.
This communist, small left-wing, amazing, warm and shitty acoustic place. And I remember they asked me to come and perform, and that was my first real show. Like, I did an hour, and to do that, it was mostly my show, and Suhail was doing the hype man. And I remember surprising the people and letting Mahmoud, I think he went in for Ratatat, Mahmoud. I think that this was Ratatat and Pushem Khafime Pesha. We did, that was, right?
Yeah.
And then the show after, we already were ready by calling ourselves Them, and it's not a band. It's even in the first song, Them, like Them, Ishay Awal Label Rap Arabiya. Do you remember that? It was a label. That was the idea. A label like the Reza. I thought I was the Reza back then. Like
wow. So you were aware of how the industry works, the music industry works.
Yeah, we had a label titled 48 Records. I think that was also the name of the label. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. So, sorry, I'm going to stop.
But we didn't know what to do with it. We didn't have knowledge in business or music industry. We just thought, we have the name and that's it. We have a label, but we didn't know the whole process behind it.
We didn't know about the papers. All we thought was that
we just put the logo.
Exactly. That's what we did. We did the logo and it's like, we have a label. That's what
amazing.
Yeah. That's so at the beginning it was, and then I remember we started working on, and we had songs together. Like for example, if you look at Ratatat, it's only me and Mahmood. If you look at Min Irhabi, it's me, Mahmood, and Suhail.
Yes.
If you look at Mim, it's only Mahmood and Suhail. So it wasn't a real band. It was like we all, like the Wu-Tang. Yeah, like the Wu-Tang. Sometimes you have this, you have that, you have. And then I started working on my album at the beginning. Ihda. I was working on the album Ihda. And I remember.
Sorry, but that came out in 2006.
2006,
though,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, but until 2005, it was my album. And then we decided to, that's it. We are going out, and we need to be a band. So the whole Mitzakira Hai. So we decided that's why if you see, I had two songs. I had like songs solo, so that's why Mahmoud came in and he did his solo kalimat, and so I did his solo kalimat just to balance it, and then we came out as them. We signed and we came out as them. That's fun. Yeah. So it just happened organically, like a family thing. Like
before we jump to 2006, because 2006 and 2007 things started happening. When you started, it was the second Intifada, and different things happened right around there. Like the scene wasn't as ripe. There weren't as many hip hop musicians back then. There were just a few. How did you guys connect with others, like with Shalabi, with the others in Akka, in Haifa? And obviously the connections with Ramallah weren't there initially.
I mean, we met them in there was a hype in the beginning of hip hop when it started, and it's before it's before the second Intifada. It was when Tamer also released a song called Min Tal Al Alif, and also Ratatat was before the second Intifada. And then there was a hype around it, and we were invited to shows. And also MWR also was, doing songs and doing music, and started to releasing songs. And we met them through the shows, I think, if I remember right. And then we became friends, because we were meeting in the shows. There was a big hype around this new kind of music here in Palestine, not that new in the rest of the world. And we met and connected by going and performing together from place to place. So we were performing all over the place.
We did Arif Nafsak together
as well.
And when you went to perform, I think that initially it was a problem of where do people perform? Where do you as musicians perform, right? There weren't that many venues. Can you speak about the venues that you initially performed at, and how it was for you when was the first time you went and performed in Ramallah, for example, or in Bethlehem?
In the city hall, in the municipality city hall. It was like performing in an office. It was so bad. Like it wasn't that professional. I wouldn't blame people for not knowing about the sound. We didn't have a sound man. Things just happened, It's just. But today, like for example, I just watched. I got a story to tell about the Biggie story, and it was all kind of footages, and you can see him performing also in shitty places. It's just the beginning, but it wasn't important. It was the passion was there for everyone, So
yeah, but I remember speaking to Mahmood, and he said,
Mahmood, do you remember? Do you remember we used to do that a lot? We used to do that a lot, Mahmood, where we really wanted people to pay attention to the lyrics, but the music the sound was so
loud,
so bad that we always had this 15 minutes of just talking and doing a cappella without the music even, just so we wanted we don't do that anymore because we have a sound, but it was that period.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say is that when we were talking about the film, Mahmoud said that even that hip hop took you places, and it took you out of lid as well. And this is where I was going to ask Mahmoud. Mahmoud, how did you get out of lid through hip hop?
our music got out from Lid, and then people heard about Dam Music, and they invited us to perform outside of Palestine. And this was my first time that I'm going and issuing a passport, or my passport getting stamped. So music helped me in a way to travel and to be exposed to the world, and not only to Lid. You know, I always, because we Palestinians have this say, our grandmother, our grandfather always saying, our country is the most beautiful country. But then you travel and you see that there is more. It's not only our country, but there is, you know, there is a world, and it's beautiful, and there is cultures, and you get introduced to all of that. So, and that happened only because of music back then. And we were really young. That's our first traveling, and I think it's the same case for Tamer as well. The only travel that maybe we were doing before music, not me, but maybe others, was to Egypt, to Sinai, to Sina, Sharm el-Sheikh, and so on and so on.
Okay, and now we come to 2006, and going back to your first album, Ihda. So, correct me if I'm wrong, you were actually signed up to a record label back then, right?
Yeah, it was called Red Circle Music.
Yes.
And in the Middle East by EMI Arabia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal for them, wasn't it?
Yeah, we are talking about 2006, where it was labeled. It was, yeah, as you said, the artists were not independent social media wise. So yeah,
and it's not just the social media, because 2006, 2007, this is when Facebook started, and before that you had to promote yourself through other ways. There was MySpace, I think.
It was MySpace. MySpace came during those times, I think, or we opened. I remember, if you know Abe Bachon, the co-founder of BeatStars, he was around Lid, and I remember he opened our Facebook, our MySpace. We didn't know about it. Yeah, he just literally opened it for us. So Mahmoud and Soel, I think,
but also we were handing out CDs, and there was a website called arabrap.net, I think, something like that. There was a website for Arabic rap back then.
Oh wow.
And people could go and visit and listen. And this is where actually, when we released Who's the Terrorist, it was downloaded 1 million times, and it was through this website. So there was, you know, some kind of channels where the music can be in. And we were handing out CDs as well. CDs was still, you know, a thing back then.
Totally, because also within the Palestinian context, for us Palestinians in the West Bank, we didn't have recording studios. We did, like, if anyone wanted to do a recording, they had to travel to Tel Aviv, and this is where the CDs would have gotten pressed. And so the whole sort of emergence of the industry and the physical item being present changed afterwards to that digital item that can be downloaded, that can transcend the borders, right? Especially when we speak about Gaza and rappers being in Gaza, far away from, or not being able to be reached. So how did you perceive that change? Did you feel it, like moving on from CDs to MP3s?
It was during our generation. We were living it in a way. It was, you know, we were excited about it. It was something that's happening. It's like, you know, it's like kids now with TikTok, you know, and for us that was internet back then. That was the new thing. And we knew how to use it. Our parents did it, but we did. And we, you know, it was, for us, it was a very strong tool to get our music out. And also to connect with other Palestinian artists in different areas in Palestine and also outside of Palestine, and artists in general in the world. Because before that, it was it didn't happen because we wouldn't be signed with big record companies that will put all these millions, you know, to support a band that's singing in Arabic about politics and social issues. So internet for us, you know, from our perspective is a blessing back then.
Okay, great. And then if we compare, because you have 3 albums out, in 2012, then you released Dabke on the Moon. But before Dabke on the Moon, in 2010 and 2011 was a very pivotal time in the whole region when the Arab revolutions happened. And I think around that time, there were shifts and changes in music, that it wasn't just hip hop, but new, let's call it alternative music started emerging. And you guys started mixing your music as well. Can you speak about that?
Yeah,
the dog is speaking.
Yeah, that's Tamer's neighbor's dog, sorry.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, that album was really searching for a new identity of, that album came differently. That album, we had more experience, we had more access to studios, to producers, we performed, we've seen the world. So it was beyond passion. We were still passionate, but now it's different. So it was, I remember back then we also were done with the deal of our label, and we wanted to do it, as you said, because that was the time when everything started to being independent. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to be independent. And I remember we did everything alone. I remember Mahmood Mahmood did the design of the cover.
Oh, wow.
And we recorded everything. We didn't accept money from anyone. We wanted to hold the master and everything. We contacted my cousin, Nabil. He's from Denmark, and he was one of the main artists when it comes to pop. And we really wanted to, we had that theory of doing pop and politics together. Mm-hmm. So that was the idea of that album.
That was also influenced, I think back then it was a bit influenced by as well artists from the US, African American artists such as Lupe Fiasco, if I remember, and how he could be on the mainstream. So we were, it was interesting for us how because he had like a really he was conscious about what he was singing and what he was writing, and he was getting into radio playlists. And this is where also our thinking about music is shifted in a way where we want, to try how to combine pop and Arabic music, and also, a really good lyrics, and not just ego tripping lyrics. So not that I have anything against that, but not only that, but to be more aware of your surrounding and what's happening in the world.
But I think going back from your first, the shift maybe from your first album to your second album, also the first album was almost deeply rooted in Lid and the troubles around it. Can we say that? And then Dabke on the Moon, maybe no?
Like the content?
Yeah.
No, come on. Mali Hurriya Untha. No. It was, the whole hood thing happened at the beginning. Like
in the first album, yes.
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
In the singles, in the singles.
In the first album, we were already talking about Palestinian issues, women issues. It was already there.
And actually, speaking about women in hip hop. So we saw in the film that they faced problems, and there weren't that many of them. How was it for you to see? Because I think I was meant to ask, Abir was your cousin, Mahmoud?
My
or was
cousin,
it? Yeah. Yes. And so obviously it was, it must have been difficult to see her, she wants to perform, we want to support her, she's a part of us, right? And plus others like Arabiyat, and also within your work further down, there haven't initially there weren't that many women, but then it was also almost, I remember like Sama, it was initially doing rap and hip hop for a little bit, Sarona as well, and then you were doing, I think you did a few, what do you call them, like rap battles or something like that.
So again, can you tell me the question?
So if you can speak about the women that were involved in hip hop, the challenges and how you felt about it.
I mean, it's, you know, women in music in general, they are a minority, and in hip hop, it's even more, not only here in Palestine, but all around the world. I mean, it depends if you have a family that support your career, or you support your decision and give you your independent, then yeah, you can have a career. But for most of women, it's not the story, it's not the case. It's something that we want to support and we want to encourage, but sometimes you feel like it have much more power than the society itself have. You know, it likes everything take time, and you don't know how the change will come suddenly, and because a lot of people are conservative and thinking that this is the way to go, and this is you know, this is wrong, that women will sing or women will do hip hop or whatever. But I feel I was always happy, you know, when we saw women artists singing, and when we saw hip hop artists, women artists singing hip hop, that was very encouraging, and that's something that we encourage all the time. But I still think they face a lot of barriers, and these barriers are, you know, are put by the society and put by, you know, discrimination against women. And it's still few women artists are doing music comparing to men, and that's something that we would like to see a change in.
Yeah, I think one of the initial performers who also performed with you at around the time that I was speaking about in 2010 and 2011 was Maysa Daw, and I'm recalling here songs like The Green Revolution, which you did like as Ministry of Dabke, and there was a whole group that was involved in that. And if we can speak a little bit around about music around that time, because I think it was a very crucial time in that the revolutions happened in the Arabic-speaking world, and other genres that were deemed to be underground were suddenly not underground. And so it was more okay to experiment and openly and play this music openly.
It's this whole Arab revolution thing suddenly it gave those underground cats a main stage, and you know, it was hopeful. It was times of hope, so people could be louder. Like I'm like Rami, ايش اسمه Rami Isam?
Yes.
Or Kairuki, or I remember those guys that they were hardly known and they just popped.
Yeah.
You know, and General, the guy from Tunisia, I remember him as well. It was that time, it was that moment that I wish that it was elevated right. It was that Bassem Youssef time of that funny guy, dentist funny guy who just tell jokes with his friends. To fight, you know, the Arab Revolution started, and suddenly independent stages, he just pressed play and he just recorded himself, and now he's now he's part of history. So it was just those right things that, you know.
Yeah, but they crossed borders into Haifa, into Palestine, and it influenced your creations as well, because when you did the Green Revolution, it was like Mahmoud was involved in that, and it was that's when different genres other than hip hop started sort of being more seen. Like you had reggae, you have Afro beats, and you had that variety as well.
Yeah, it was like someone turned the lights on. You know, it's the green revolution in its beginning, and it you know, everyone wanted to do something, to do music, be creative, be hopeful, motivate people. And I think there was like a lot of creativity in that time, also in the visuals that you were seeing in videos. So it gave us a lot of hope, a lot of energy to do things. And that, you know, we did the Green Revolution because, you know, we felt like finally something is happening, and finally, you know, maybe people will get their freedom, and there will be more respect for human rights. And we were all about it, and we were all supporting it. So yeah, it was like someone turned the light on for 5 minutes and then it went off again. But that's unfortunately, but that's what happened back then.
And to you, musically, your next album after 2012, Dabke on the Moon, didn't come until 2019, right? So between 2012 until 2019, there was, I mean, you released songs with Maysa, you did some collaborations. Can you talk us through that time? Maybe Tamer, if you want to start.
Dabke on the Moon was 2011, and then we signed with the Cooking Vinyl, and it was released to 2019. Oh, this Corona thing just deleted years out of my life.
Yes.
So 2019, right? So
yes,
you're asking about,
yeah. So between 2012 and 2019, how did your music change? How did you change? How did your output and hip hop in general? Sorry, too many questions. We'll take them one at a time.
I think that was like 8 years of working solo. Everybody finding finding himself, I would say. Mahmoud did his things, I did my thing, Maysa was doing her thing, Sohail was fading out and doing his thing big time in different places. So it was just about, you know, working, just, you know, as I said, each artist wanted his space, yani.
Yeah, and that's when I think in between the 2012 and 2019 came Mahmoud's album.
Iqa al-Kabir.
Yes.
Yeah. But also not only in music. I mean, Tamer released a movie. I was, you know, involved in one music startup, and then to Palestine Music Expo. So it was different things that we are doing, and not you know, not focusing only on music. And music was our focus, but we felt maybe in that time we felt like we could do more, and we could be, you know, creative in other fields as well.
Yes, because at around that time, 2016, that's when you started planning for the PMX. And that's also when, I think when we were talking about festivals and about touring for you within Palestine or within Palestinian cities, how was it? How easy, how difficult was it to tour?
To tour in, I mean, it depends. For us, it is, in a way, it is easy. I mean, we've been around for years now. Touring is always fun, and the thing is, we also love to tour outside, but I think in this year we were more interested to tour in Palestine and not internationally. And we were touring a lot in Palestine. And it, you know, it's always fun to go on stage and see people singing your lyrics, and see people are happy with you and dancing with you, and part of your, you know, of your creation, of your songs, of your album. It's something that we always have fun doing, and it's something that we are looking now to get back to after COVID-19. So that's how it was for me.
Okay, and Tamer, like in terms of because I think when we spoke about festivals and touring within Palestine, it's a small scene. It's not that big. You can do how many cities? 10 cities maybe, if that. What are the logistics that are involved in that? How many people? How many people attend these? Like there's variations.
It's 30 cities almost. It's not just the 48 area, it's also the 67 area. And I must say that for the last 2 years, I've been in places in Palestine that I've never thought hip hop would be there. And so now, as I said, people are more, you're talking about Facebook, you're talking about, back then when Facebook was starting and people were, you need to have, I don't know, Napster or whatever to download songs. Now you have it on YouTube, and now you want people, so you want to send the people on pressed on the link. So now people are more, it's more accessible for people. So suddenly we are performing in, like I must say, I was shocked that the year before the Corona, I performed in three Druze villages, something that I've never done before. So it's just.
But that is interesting that the music, and which is not a traditional form of music, like because music in Palestine is tied to social events as well, but it is now like forming an industry where there are performances where
بس
you
كمان ايش بيقولوا مجالس؟
مجالس يعني المجالس
مجلس البلدية.
like councils, the municipalities.
I'm not sure. Yeah, whatever. They started to be more clever when it comes to budgets. They started to ask for money for culture, more and more and more. Suddenly you have more. It's so Palestinians started demanding for more budgets for the culture. And that happened only for the last 3 years. And suddenly you have producers contacting our management and saying, okay, we want them here. If you want something that never happened before, if you sign with me, I will book you 15 shows only this summer. So there was a contest, a healthy one, so it's just everything that happened together.
Nice. And can I go back to the point of 2016, 2017, and the start of festivals as like, I can't remember the name of the other one that started the same year as the Palestine Music Expo. It's also, there was one in Ashrab.
There were also festivals before 2016 in Ramallah, in different places. There is Taibe Festival.
Yes.
Where we always perform. We performed in the beginning of Taibe Festival. So it didn't happen just in 2016. It was always there. But then in 2016, you were seeing more festivals are happening, and more, entrepreneurs, young people are creating their own festivals, such as Boombox, such as PMX. So, and you had more diversity in the festivals. It's not, it's festival for alternative music. There's festival for hip hop music. There's festival for classic music. So it's definitely more now than before.
Yeah, and they diverged. So they basically went from being tied to social occasions to being purely just about music, about dancing, about mixing together. And also this is where what Tamer was saying about moving into like outside of urban areas. So because you had music as a phenomena within cities, but maybe not in places like Nablus. But that started increasing too.
Yeah, and it's more about, some of them are more about business as well. Totally business, and that's fine. That's a good thing to happen. So yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, and in one of the scenes we see you going to Markaz Ibda, to the Heshi refugee camp, because you also used hip hop as a tool to help people express themselves, but also face the reality. Are you still doing that? If you can talk about it.
That was before 2016. We were going to different refugee camps.
Mm-hmm.
Ibda was one of them. Also, we were going to Jenin, to Masrah al-Hurriya.
Mm-hmm.
We were very, we were going and performing and having a workshop and talks. We are now not doing the exact thing, but we are doing different things that are also have social activism in it, and cultural activism as well.
When you say cultural activism, and do you tie it to hip hop, or
in what meaning?
As in, so you used to use hip hop as a tool. Now, if I give an example of the 2019, since we keep going back to 2019, seems to be the year that is stuck in all of our minds. Like I remember seeing what are they called? The four girls from as well from the Heshi camp performing.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I totally forgot their names, but again, to see women from disadvantaged areas being supported through work that you're doing is also very important.
That's activism, and that's exactly. Activism.
Yeah.
And I also don't remember the name, though they performed in PMX. Shame on me. That's it.
Okay.
Maybe. But I will try to remember till the end of the call.
Cool. If we go to media and the role of media that the media has played in shedding light on you as artists and as a band, how was it? And when I speak about media, I also speak about radio plays. Do you get played on radios? I mean, all of this is changing now.
I mean, depend. We had, I think, also, we had a struggle with the media. It wasn't easy, still not easy. And when we started creating hip hop and going internationally, and then having press coming and interviewing us, their interest was because we were coming out from a conflict zone, coming out from Palestine, and we were Palestinians before then we were musicians. Mm-hmm. And all the question was about politics and when we think peace will come, and questions like that. Never about our music or how we created our music, or what we did in the studio, and why we did that, and why we said this kind of sentence in our lyrics. It was never about that with the Western media. It was only about us being, Palestinians, and it was a bit, it was a bit a shame, because you don't feel like you are appreciated for your music. And then when they come to our shows, you see them, they see also the press that were interviewing us in the backstage. They see all the people jumping and all the people smiling and all the people, and then they want to interview us again. So that's what was happening with us, with them. But now I think it's changed now. Now you can see that there is more interest in our music and in our artistic perspectives. They don't ask us anymore about when do you think peace will happen. I think none of us is asking that anymore.
We gave up.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. Not only in music, but in different aspects and different fields. Yeah. But yeah, it's, we as musician, we are ambition to be appreciated as musician, as artists, and that our albums and our music are being celebrated, and not only our, our identity.
Definitely. And with 2019 coming up to 2019 and Ben Hado Mane, I think how, like, if you compare your first tour and your last tour, can you compare? As in first tour as Dam, like, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago, and the last tour that you have done.
يعني each one has its own beauty. يعني to travel for the first time and just to feel that privilege, that was already, you know, that was something, being in the beginning. And then to travel with the Ben Hana Mana, with the band. Like I remember we had the guy with the keyboard, we had يعني فاهمة, it was more musical for us. It was more we enjoyed looking like musicians on stage and really building an entertaining show. And that was very, very important for us. It was an inside even barrier to prove even to ourselves that we are not a geographical talent. It's not hey, free Palestine, free Palestine. Okay, the lyrics says that in a way. So I didn't like to use it in the show. I wanted in the show between that song and that song having an amazing musical part. So each you know, I would enjoy each tour differently.
I will just point out that we will soon open the floor for questions. So if anyone has a pressing question, would like to ask Tamer or Mahmood anything, please shoot them over into the Q&A section, and we would happily take those. And we are looking forward to hearing from you. But going back to the performance and you know how you were saying the appreciation of Palestinian artists as artists and not just as Palestinian. And
it's very, yeah, it's exhausting.
But it has changed, right? Have you felt that change?
Yeah, some changed and some are not, you know, are not asking for interviews because they know our, you know, opinion about that.
Yeah, I do less. I wouldn't say change. I just do less interviews.
Okay.
That's true. True.
Okay.
Yeah, questions are exhausting. It's just.
That's not a good thing to say now that we're taking questions.
No, it's okay. I took your interview, so that's
yeah.
call it. But generally, yeah.
Cool. And if we were to look at the hip hop scene now, from each one of your perspectives, when you started, where you are now, how do you look at it?
As all or as them?
As them, but also each one of you. I'm quite interested in hearing, you know, like, because you start off as them and started off small and from lid, and you had no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, it's amazing what's going on now in regarding music, hip hop music, but also independent music and in Palestine, in the Arab world as well in general. But I see, you know, how hip hop is developed in Palestine now, and it's developing as well. And I see it through the subjects that are being talked about and in the diversity. Suddenly you have artists who are singing about depression and artists who are singing about, you know, they have love songs. And you know, it wasn't there before 20 years or in the beginning of hip hop. So there is a diversity. There is a diversity in also the genres that are, you know, in the scene. You have trap, you have rap, you have reggae, you have
jazz.
you have jazz, you have rock. I mean, and it's amazing to see that, and it's something that you want it to grow more and more, because, you know, then we have because it's culture and it's something that support, you know, our culture and support our music. And yeah, I love it. I love every aspect of it, and you know, it's just good.
Okay, so hip hop is good 20 years on, which is good to hear.
But
Not
it's,
only hip hop, but everything else
Everything.
as well. I mean, it's
I
there. Yeah.
I always think of that. First of all, I need to say that I enjoy this. I enjoy it, and I'm very proud of the product of what is happening. I'm always having a dialogue, an inside dialogue about the content of the music. And as Mahmood said, it's hardly have politics in it. It's almost has no politics in it. It's all about you can repetitive songs about depression, about even the word Ritalin comes about, and taking those pills and those pills. And if I think about it, it's not the rappers. I think what happened with us is that we came when the Intifada started. So we had that, fight, and then the Rabi', the Arab Spring happened, and then bands came, like it was the most نقد ذاتي، ايش بقول نقد بناء؟
Self-criticism, or it's like
self-criticism, like مشروع ليلى, like Kairuki, it's just all يعني blue. That was the thing. With us, it was the thing, politics, and now after the Rabi' al-Arabi, I think the Arabs are thinking more of an individual. They are more individualities. I think it's more individual. It's more, oh, this Arab project is it's not a successful one, so just leave me alone with my stuff. And I think that the slaps that we got through the Intifada, through the failure of the Arab Spring, not the failure for now, I'm sure something will happen in the future, inshallah. It just brought people to depression, I think, and that's the generation that we had, I think, because that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that there has been a shift in identity, in how Palestinian artists portray their identity.
Sorry to cut you, but for the Intifada back then, it was hip hop. Damn was the hope. Then with the Arab Spring, I remember Mashru' Layla was the hope. And then what happened in Egypt with that girl Sarah, and I think it broke Mashru' Layla to pieces.
Yeah.
In a way, and this whole homophobia thing that happened, canceling them, and what is sad about it is it's always that if you have a foreign enemy, it never breaks you, but when the enemy comes from the inside, it always somehow shatters you. I would say.
Possible, but also, and this is one topic that I wanted to touch upon before we open the floor to questions. I was going to touch upon two things: Black Lives Matter, because you were inspired by Black music initially, and obviously all that happened last year, including COVID. If we can briefly touch on it. I think in Palestine, we didn't have Black Lives Matter per se. A lot of people were touched by it, but then again, we had Tal'at.
Yeah, no, Tal'at is more #MeToo than Black Lives Matter. Yeah, if you want to compare. But now you have Al-Hirak Al-Fahmawi, that I think it's more like a Black Lives Matter, I think, where they have to fight that crime issue, the Arab on Arab crime, totally sponsored by Israel, and at the same time they are carrying the Israeli flag, the Palestinian, for a mistake, carrying the Palestinian flags. So it's also the nationality, the belonging. So I would say, but something is happening, and that's yani shu'la.
Okay, there's light. Cool. And Mahmood, yeah.
Always there is light. I mean,
we have to keep it.
We are all related to, to minorities who are being discriminated, and if it's African American, or if it's Palestinian, or if it's any other place that there is a discrimination, we feel related to that fight, to that struggle, because we also know how it feels, and we the injustice, we know how to recognize injustice, and we all want to see justice, and we all want to see peace as well. And yeah, it's it's something that will keep. I mean, we will keep the hope, but we are against something that is more systematic, that's happening in Palestine for years and years and years. And I want to be also optimist, but it's not that easy, and I have to be honest about it. And I think, I hope that something will happen, some kind of, I don't know how to say it in Arabic, but tahawul.
Well, change, transformation.
Yeah, to something that can lead to justice and can lead to peace and, respecting human rights.
Yeah.
All around the world, not only Palestine, of course.
I think it is a time of rethinking, and there's a lot of things that are happening at the moment globally. Maybe even the media isn't actually paying attention to a lot of these things that are happening, and they're not highlighting them, but definitely in the UK, there's the Kill the Bill. In Egypt, we saw things happening in Jordan as well. So I think there's constant shifts in the region and all around. What effect that will leave on us and on music, most importantly, that is yet to be seen. I will now, sorry about the delay, ask if we could take some questions. Georgie, would you like to join us, please? And thanks for being there for us and with us.
Yeah, thanks so much. That was a fascinating conversation. Like really, a lot of questions answered that I had already. So can I start with a question? Just like chair's prerogative.
You're jumping the queue. When did you insert your question?
But I've had it right from the start. It's something from the film. It's a question from the film. There were two young men who rapped for the first time in public, and then you're shown on the phone to them, and they've been arrested and they're in prison and they're facing a 10-year sentence. Do you know any of the outcome of those young men? What happened?
Yeah, I remember we spoke when they were in jail. I remember we haven't been in touch for a while because they also stopped rapping. But I remember back then he didn't do the full time. Sentence. I remember that. Yeah, if I remember correctly. I think you're talking about Rami or Bilal, something.
Yeah, they were from Mukhayyam Lidhesha. Yeah.
Rami, definitely. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Because that was a sort of cliffhanger that was like unresolved, and I was
20 years later, we shall find out. Cool. Do you want to take the other questions, Georgie? Do you want to?
Yeah, we have a number of nice questions. We also have somebody who had to leave but gave a shout out from Amsterdam.
Oh, nice.
Says hello. Two from Martin.
Yeah, that's Martin saying hello, and and he's asking, yeah.
He's also asking when will you do another Damn track or album?
That's a question. It's a good one. Should I say he will know when we will decide to? Martin. Tamer, do you want to answer?
Is that Martin's answering?
That's
Show
Martin.
me the money! Show me! Soon, inshallah.
Did you receive that, Martin? That's good. He also asked later, was the group Etija?
Yeah, that's the band that we were talking about. That was the four girls from the Tesh. That was Etija. Yes, exactly.
Brilliant, Martin. Yeah.
Is it called Etija?
Yes, they're called Etija. Yeah.
Yes, they performed in PMX.
Yeah.
So another question from Michelle Brito. How can Palestinian hip hop get the level of notoriety that African American hip hop has achieved? How can the West connect to these stories? She has a triple question, and similar struggle, but why not the same focus in the media?
What is the meaning of the first word? There is a word in the question that I didn't understand.
Notoriety.
Yeah.
يعني say notorious B.I.G. يعني إنه.
There we go. Bad reputation.
Oh, okay.
Good/bad reputation.
Like why it doesn't spread like American hip hop?
I mean, I would reinterpret the question. I might be putting words out, but you know, the Black Lives Matter movement has been about, you know, centered in African America. Maybe like, why hasn't this story been told about Palestine?
I think it's a matter of time. I think it's a matter also of I mean, come on, the Palestinian issue started in 1948. The African American cause started around 400 and something years ago. I think it's a matter of time. And I think also the language, I mean, imagine the African American struggle was, or hip hop and everything was in an African tribal language. It would never get nowhere. So it's also us needed. But I see a lot of Palestinian key people get into that industry. What I can say is, when I look at it, I don't ask how come they and how not. I become a student, and I'm really become humble and to see what my African brothers are doing and sisters, and I'm just trying to you know, to learn from it. And you know, now when it comes even to hip hop, even when I look to hip hop, the way this new generation, I mean, now if you look 5, 7, 10 years ago, the mainstream ones were totally commercial, shake your ass bitches and everything. But now you have people like Kendrick Lamar, you have people like J. Cole, that now politics is cool in a way, you know? So I think things happens in their own rhythm, and we keep pushing and it will happen. But you cannot compare 400 years to 78 years.
There's hope there. There's time on your side.
Yeah, so we will be free in 500 years. That's my,
maybe that's not so hopeful.
No, we, from the Black Lives Matters, we will get shortcuts, inshallah.
Michelle, I hope that I interpreted your question right. She sent a big LOL at some point.
I mean, I have to say, historically, we weren't free for 400 and something years. So in a bit, it's, you know.
Yeah, we went, from Ottoman, 500 years of Ottoman rule to British mandate to Israeli occupation.
So if the Ottomans were still here, then we will be on MTV and NBA. It's hard for us to focus.
Singing in Turkish.
Yeah, come on.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. We are sitting, we finally know how to beat the Ottomans. Oh, but now the English are here. I'm like, man, come on. It's just, so, you know.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, I think you've answered that question because you got a great thumbs up from Michelle. Thank you. We have a question from an anonymous attendee. Have you noticed a shift in how the PA or other Palestinian governing bodies perceived Palestinian hip hop over the years? Have they become more or less supportive? Did it vary amongst different levels of government? This kind of draws from the conversation about the municipalities kind of giving you guys.
No, but the municipal, we live in, we technically we live in Israel. So I was talking about municipalities inside of Israel, like Palestinians inside of Israel. It's different regimes. Yeah. So which we never had problems in Ramallah or something. I think Mahmoud,
we never had censorship.
In general also, I never saw someone going against it or trying to stop it.
I speak as Tamer, as them, but Mahmoud can give you a bigger answer because 90% of the people who performs in PMX, it's in Ramallah. So I think he deals with the authorities.
Yeah, but we also as them, we performed in Ramallah, we performed in Nablus, we performed in Jenin. That was also, there was an involvement of authorities. There was never something against it. We've performed in the only thing that we had with the American university in Jenin, because one curse that we had in a song, I think that's the only thing. But that was that was stupid.
I have a question here from Paola at Torlino. Thank you very much for such a stimulating conversation. You said that questions about peace annoy you. You've talked about peace in your songs. For example, in Me Nehrabi, you say, I'm not against peace, peace is against me. So I'm afraid my question is going to annoy you. Ready? But have you ever seen hip hop as a tool for peace?
Well, we didn't say we are annoyed by question about peace. We said we are annoyed about question about politics. There is a different, and we are annoyed that this is the only question that we were asked. And there was no diversity in the question where they ask about our music, about our creativity, whatever, about our lyrics. I think there is a hope but not only in hip hop, in every other field, every other sector need to come together so peace will happen. But for now, I don't see it happening because Palestinians are living under occupation and they are the most people in need for peace. And for now, there is no one to talk to in the other side, and but we want to encourage our people to bring peace to our people, encourage our people to be creative, to be educated, to be entrepreneurs. So one day we will have the resources to knock on the world door, so he will see the occupation and see the apartheid that's happening here in Palestine. So I wish I could say, yeah, hip hop can change the world, but no, it won't happen. Sorry.
It changed my world. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, it can change, but it can't change there's too many players other than hip hop.
I'm sure it's changed the lives of.
Or should I just be an artist and just say, yeah, it's gonna change the world and everything gonna be okay? Should I have this approach and that's it? Yeah.
I think it's good to be realistic.
Yeah, we will do that speech when we win the beauty contest.
Yeah.
So bringing it back to the personal and the artistic, here's a nice question. Which song of yours has the most meaning to you personally? This is a question directed to both Tamer and Mahmood.
What is the question? I didn't get it.
Which song of yours has the most meaning to you personally? And why?
It's different songs. It's different songs. It's different songs. I would mention a few, but I think that the first one is the most important one, Tel Al Alef, because I think it started the whole Palestinian hip hop. I would say Me Nehrabi because it brought them to the international level. I would say El Hurriya Untha because it got us to touch social, to be brave enough to talk about women's rights. I would pick a song of mine that it's called Ano Inti, that it has nothing to do with politics. It's just an erotic song about sex that I think that was the most song that I was afraid to do. And I decided to do it. Even though it doesn't have a message, it's just about sex. But it was very, 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 it haunted me later. I will explain later. It managed to cancel. It was managed to cancel a lot of shows and to have a lot of people inciting against me. Sorry, I'm picking a lot of songs. I would say Super Lancer because it brought me back to the hood because I became, talking about I became reading Mahmoud Darwish and everything, and somehow I forgot the fuck you in it. And
the notoriety.
And Super Lancer somehow got me back to being 15, 18, not giving a fuck kid. And it was real and rough. Sorry for the long answer again. I would say Yaret because because Yaret, I talked there about one of the most, you know what, forget all the songs. I think that was the shift point. Yaret. Yaret was very important for me because over there I say that my dream is just to write love song, cliche love songs, but I cannot because of the politics. And that was my turning point of sometime cutting myself from politics and just doing successful pop love songs. And I love that. So a long answer, but I hope that I answered.
Can Mahmood?
It's a good one.
Yeah, thanks.
We've got a whole playlist now.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, what he said. And
Pick your own songs, man. Pick your own songs.
Adding to that, I really, أنا من هناك, I think, from Rhythm of the Tribe, 2016. It's talking about, because it's talking about me. It's talking about me growing up in Lid, what I have experienced. Ratatat as the first Arabic song that I'm recording as them as well. Also talk about my city and about the struggle that we are going through. Other than what Tamer have said, because some of them are related to them as well, I would focus on the last album, on حقيقي كفاية. The song حقيقي كفاية, because it's, maybe the first song that we are being so personal and so emotional and criticizing ourselves as well and looking in the mirror. So that's a very important song.
Yeah. So I will very briefly stop you and say حقيقي كفاية means real enough.
Yeah, but that's the line. That's the line of the song.
Yeah.
I'm real enough to admit that I'm not real enough. So it's talking about the things that we never faced.
I love Enta and Jawzak because I can hear it in all weddings. So it makes me, it's a happy song, make everyone happy, and criticizing the society as well in the same time. So yeah, I think
there's this song called it's a song called Kunna Ashab, remix that Mahmood did, and I think that's one of the, he doesn't mention it. I don't know why, and I've told him in a few occasions that's his song. It's not mine. He did it with Rami GB, but it's only have 2 verses, but the way the story is told with the details, with mentioning the pillow, with mentioning you can just see it's just the beauty of the storytelling. I think it's the closest Palestinian song to Biggie's songs or LL Cool J's storytelling. So.
Called Ashab, you can find it on YouTube.
And there's
I love this song as well. I don't know why I didn't mention it. Yeah.
Should make a playlist of your favorite songs. Maybe that should be the next Marsm playlist.
Put it on Spotify. Yeah. Go for it. Do it.
Yeah.
That's great. The answer is we love a lot of our music, which I'm really happy to see. So there's another question which looks at this comparison with the American rap scene. It's quite interesting. Why don't you think that the misogyny that's normal in American rap lyrics didn't translate into Arabic rap music?
Maybe it will in 100 years or 400. I don't know.
No, it does. It does, but it's in own tools. It does, but it's in own tools. I mean, we cannot. I mean, in general, I cannot tell a guy. I cannot say the word fuck, even if it doesn't have to do with women. Or I cannot say the word sorry. I'm explaining. I cannot say suck or blowjob, even in songs that has nothing to do with women. It's a more conservative society than American society. But don't worry, even if you cannot say bad words, you can still be misogynistic. Don't worry about it. You can still be misogynistic.
Yeah.
It can still be.
But you can also see it not in Arabic hip hop, but you can see it more in the Arabic pop. I mean, there is songs like Lebet Asser Tanura or different other songs that everyone dance for, but it is. Yeah.
It's just being conservative. That's it. But it's happening in different ways. It's happening in different ways.
And also, sorry, if I can add to that rap does reflect on the environment that is around you and the culture that is around you too. And this is where it is being true to the environment that it is coming from, and reflecting that way of thinking as well in its own tools and words.
And by the way, it's not happening in Palestine, but it is happening in other places, in Egypt and like I heard songs that are very, you know, and they curse in this. So yeah, they use the words that even Tamer have mentioned.
Yeah.
One thing that struck me from the film was just like how family friendly the whole environment seemed, like in the sense that all your parents seem to be, I don't know if this is just an emphasis of the film, but the mums and dads are all like really pro what you're doing. There's no kind of like generational.
But okay, there is no suck my dick, there's no suck my cock, but there is what had the misogynistic thing that happened with Abir. And I think it's
also
it's worse in a way.
Yeah.
So it's so don't worry, it's
yeah. But of your work itself, like what you're putting out there, it just seemed like there was a lot of kind of parental approval. There's not that rebellion that you hear in the kind of.
What do you mean?
The sort of intergenerational conflict of people going, all these young people singing. There was like an agreement between the generations of what you're singing about.
Yeah, but because we were singing about them as well in a way, they felt related to it. You know, we didn't. You know, it's something that my parents also like the subject of the song. It's something that they all the time feel, but they never had the chance to broadcast it. And then the sons are coming and doing some kind of form of music and speaking also about them. So they are very supportive about what we are doing as music and about our message as well.
Great. So we've got time for one more question. And that is, we've just got two. Okay, we can squeeze them in. We've got 3 minutes or so. Anonymous has asked, will you sing in English again to reach a greater audience? For example, the song I'm in Love with a Jew was genius.
Thank you. Yes, me personally, yes. I'm so into English now, and I'm hoping to release my English EP this year. It's in recording, and I've recorded 5 songs, and I'm really enjoying the topics and the allegories and the metaphors, and I'm really enjoying the process. It's very challenging for me to write in English because it's other than the accent, but it's just seeing the story. I see the visuals. Even when I write in Arabic, I see the metaphors in visuals, and then I find the words in Arabic. But the difference with English, and that's the challenging part, the difference in English is in Arabic, I can use 20, 50 words to describe what I mean. In English, I always need a dictionary, and instead of having that as an obstacle, suddenly in the Corona era it became a challenging, fun thing to do. So yes, English, and that is my next thing.
Good news for me. So there's one further question, and that's great. We've got time for. It's a long one, bear with me. Has poetry, in particular resistance poetry, played a role in influencing your art? Yeah. I ask because poetry has been a powerful tool of resistance in Ireland in the past. This is from Eileen Wallace, against colonialism and as a preservation of art and culture.
That's all I have. That's all I buy, poetry.
There we go.
I just had that Baldwin book over here. Poetry, I can't find it. Leonard Cohen as well. So yeah, poetry is the thing for me.
Before we wrap up, just very briefly, because Tamer has spoken about his future plans. Mahmood, do you have any future plans?
Yeah, more songs. Having, more, in music, more songs, more singles. I don't think about album. In entrepreneurship, we are now working on establishing PMO, Palestine Music Office, where PMX will be one of the activities of PMO. And I hope keep doing what I'm doing with music, and hopefully next year we will have PMX, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and other than that, you know, I release songs. I have a song that should be released in a month with a video, so wait for it.
Great. And to that point, if you aren't following Tamer and Mahmood yet, please follow them on all social media platforms. And also, Georgia, do you want to wrap up, or?
I'll leave the last word with you, but from me, I just want to say thanks so much. It's a huge privilege to have you guys as part of the SOAS concert series, and thank you very much to Marsm for making this happen.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys very much for your time, for answering all of the questions, and even the audience as well for your questions. And if you haven't watched the film yet, please watch it. It's available on our YouTube channel and or on the Marsm website until the 19th of April. So thank you everyone very much, and see you soon.
Shukran.
شكرا
يلا
لكم.
باي.
Bye.
باي.